Merry
Hello, hello.
Christmas, Happy Holidays, and welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. I'm your host, Jeremy Weber, the jolliest son of a bitch in town, and I am joined as always by the man with the best smile in the Netherlands, Daniel Vondelok. Daniel, how are we doing
Hello.
today?
I'm doing great. It's fantastic. I've had a lot of buying, a lot of selling, a lot of social media action.
Hey,
I've been getting hooked on Twitter, man. Like I don't know what it
yeah,
is about Twitter. I never used it in like all my life. And then
you know,
I used it 13 years ago, and I was like, hey, I'm on the toilet right now. Like those very interesting tweets that no one actually cares about. And now I
it's
just
been
shitpost on Twitter, so that's great.
it's been interesting. I've been on Twitter for a long time, and I used to hate it because back when like COVID started, it was funny. My wife had a rule for me where if I sighed 3 times looking at Twitter because I was just so frustrated with everything, she was like, "You need to get off your phone for your own mental well-being." And it was a very, very smart thing on her. Like I greatly appreciate her doing that. But ever since I stopped looking at like COVID stuff and political stuff on Twitter, and I
Yeah,
just focused on silly monkey pictures. I've been
exactly.
much happier that way, so it's been great. Gonna lead off the show as always by reminding everyone that nothing that Daniel and I say is financial advice. So if you listen to what we say and things go poorly, it probably went poorly for us too. So don't blame me for it. All right. If you could subscribe to the channel, like the stream, trying to get as much good information as we can out to people to help them out on this NFT journey that we're on. So Daniel, you mentioned some buys and sells this week. Let's run through what your activity has been.
It's a lot. I've been busy. I've been a
Okay.
very busy
Let's
bee.
let's give us the quick run through then.
I'll give the quick rundown. So I minted 10 imps by Super Nifty, and he is a Belgian artist, and he actually creates all his art in VR. So it's very very refreshing to see. Later in the stream, I'll do some screen sharing. I'll go a little bit more in depth about them. Then I minted one under ID 500 Cyber Gorilla, and the reason why that's important is because they have like a very low supply of like 3.3 thousand or something, and only 300 of them are Genesis, so they have like some special trait or some special utility. And under 500 ID has like a 8% increased chance to be Genesis or whatever. Um, so I did that. I minted a Nemo, which is a pretty cool project by some pretty interesting people. I think they have like a history of working for like Ubisoft and like those types of like gaming companies. So the
Okay.
quality is on point. I minted 6 alien friends because they're cute. That's literally the only reason why I did it, because they're cute. And funny enough, I got a rank 85 one, and I was like, I'll
Nice.
just list it for like 1 ETH or something, right? Like, because I looked at like the other ranks, and some of them were like listed for like 0.50 or something. So I was like, well, whatever. Like, I'll just list it, and somehow it sold. Um,
Awesome.
so that's crazy. Also,
Very cool.
you guys, Merry Christmas as well. So thanks for popping by. Thanks for watching the
Yes, thank you
stream.
very
Great
much
to
for
see
coming
you
by.
again, Boudewijn, like last time. So to carry on with my list, I listed some notorious frogs. I think I minted them like 3 months ago, so I was relatively early in my NFT journey. They're worth not too much, but I was like, I gotta clean up my OpenSea, like my MetaMask. I got like 60 things in there, and half of them like aren't even sellable. So and for the last thing, I had listed a 10 KTF bag, and which is like a pretty cool project, but a lot of like mysterious stuff behind it. Like actually like who owns it and stuff. But they allowed you to mint like a bag
It's
with
Beeple.
your
It's Beeple. We all
yeah.
know
Well,
that. It's
everyone
Beeple.
is it people like that's what I
It
think,
is. Well,
but
he's involved. He's
he's
definitely
definitely
Beeple is
with
involved.
the
For
what's his
those who
brand
don't
called?
know, Beeple is one of the most high-profile NFT artists out there. He was actually just on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's had a few projects sell for tens of millions of dollars. And so there is a project out there called 10 KTF that is very mysterious that allows you to create hoodies and sneakers and handbags with other of your NFTs on them, like Bored Apes and World of Women and Oni Force.
Yeah,
Uh, and it has not been it's been all but confirmed that Beeple is involved in that. Um,
yeah,
so it's a pretty cool project.
definitely. So do note that only like a few select projects can actually have their NFTs involved. So it's not like you can do anything.
Hmm.
Like you can't put like everything on them. But they released like an update recently where it's like, oh, if you have this, this, and that, you can join the fight against something or something. So I was like, okay, so, but I've had them for a while, and I was like, I should probably list some stuff because I never actually sell anything. I just hold it until it becomes zero. So I listed it for like 0.16, so I was happy with that. How about you, Jeremy?
I've mainly been selling this week. I talked last week about doing some tax loss harvesting. So I've been researching that a little bit more, listening to some other shows that have talked about it. One piece of advice that made a lot of sense was if you're trying to harvest some losses right now, it's a good idea to bundle some of your NFTs and either sell them for like next to nothing, or you can send them to a burn address, which will basically send everything to zero and you can then write that off. I wouldn't recommend, say you bought something for 5 Ethereum and it's down to zero point 0.1 Ethereum and you go and you keep it, but you try to file it as a loss for 4.9. Don't do that. That's a big mistake. Also, pay your taxes. Don't take the Wesley Snipes approach and end up in jail for 3 to 5 years with because of your taxes. So that's what I've mainly been doing is selling some stuff at a loss, accumulating a little bit of ETH, and I plan on doing a little bit of shopping for myself for Christmas this afternoon out on the old NFT market, and we'll get into more of that later on in this show. So will you pull up Badawan's question real quick? It's acceptable right now to ask for NFTs. And if not, just ask for cash and then go buy Ethereum and then go buy your NFTs. And if your family thinks you're crazy this year, this time next year, they're going to think you're a genius for getting in on NFTs.
I think
now,
so, definitely.
Because we're just getting started and we're going to jump into our recap. And I think there's some things in there that are really cool, around this. So we discussed last week the Adidas drop, and that started happening actually as we were streaming. They had 20,000 pieces available for pre-sale to holders of Bored Apes and Mutant Apes and Punk's comic. So initially there was an error in the contract that wasn't allowing the Mutant Ape Yacht Club members to access the pre-sale. So they paused it, started it back up. Unfortunately, I was in the middle of putting baby furniture together when they started the mint back up. So I did not get in on that. I wish I would have. But one thing what I did find to be very encouraging was Adidas put out a very long Twitter thread about the drop, about what went wrong, explaining it. They are going to refund gas to people who lost gas in that process. And I think that's a big step forward as far as transparency from a Web 2 company that is entering the world of Web 3. Because that's a big thing that people talk about with Web 3 is the transparency of the blockchain. And to be that transparent as a multi-billion-dollar company is really, really important. And so it didn't go perfectly smoothly. And I mean, most first-time drops don't.
Yeah.
So I will say that it's really cool. Another thing that I thought was neat about this NFT that I heard G Money, who is one of the people who orchestrated this whole deal, talking about on another show, was that the NFT is going to change over time. So with this NFT, and Daniel, if you want to pull it up on OpenSea real quick so we can show everybody, but this NFT allows you access to real world apparel. So in Q1 of next year, there'll be I think a few weeks where you can go onto the Adidas website and using your NFT, you'll log in with MetaMask and you'll be able to claim your apparel. Then the NFT will actually change and it's going to look different so that once we pull it up here, this is going to physically change. And you'll see that as time goes on, it's going to evolve. And that's why it says phase 1, because this is a phase 1 NFT. And as it gets claimed, you'll see on OpenSea that some of these look different because, either the hoodie or the beanie or the Bored Ape Yacht Club tracksuit has already been claimed. And you'll be able to know, okay, I can't get this item with this NFT, so I'm not going to purchase this one if I want to get the tracksuit. So I think that's a really cool progression they're going to have with it and provides a lot of visibility to what they're thinking of with this project.
Yeah, so there's one extra thing that should be noted is all of these are ERC 1155, which means they're essentially stackable. But what I heard from them is that after you've claimed all of the wearables, the final NFT you get is, what is it called, ERC 721.
Hmm.
So it should be unique.
Yes.
So that's
So I'm
exciting.
interested to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah. So there are some wild ideas out there. So people think this is like an actual, like people think it might be a whole generative project. So, but no one knows
Pretty
yet.
cool.
So
So moving on from that, let's get into a little bit of NBA Top Shot news, as that is one of the main projects that we have on FLOLiO. So Top Shot had a few big things happen over the last week. Last Friday, they put out an article talking about the year ahead and what they're planning. And the first thing that caught a lot of people's eye was that they were offering a gift back program. So they returned 5% of the net marketplace spend to all NBA Top Shot collectors. This has been something that had been discussed back in the summer, and there's a lot of anticipation and hype around it, and they finally executed on it, which is great. It showed a lot of it gave a lot of people confidence that Dapper is moving in the right direction. There has been a lot of negative sentiment lately,
yeah.
and I think it's been warranted. I've been on that page too. I have, by no means have I been like unloading my Top Shot moments at a huge discount, because I do think there's a ton of potential still. But having that gift back was a bit of an olive branch to the community, and making it such a large percentage of net marketplace spend was really important in my opinion. So I'm happy to see that they executed on that. There was a pack drop earlier this week for the Deck the Hoops pack, which is a legendary Top Shot set. For those who are unfamiliar with Top Shot, there are 4 tiers of moments now. There's common, fandom, rare, and legendary. And so the Deck the Hoops drop was the first legendary pack drop of this season, and it came with all classic moments from the 2010. So I mean, that's a few years ago for some of them, so can't really call it classic, but some cool legendary moments. They're gonna have a few challenges with it too. I tried to get for that drop, and I was not even close, unfortunately. So might look to grab a moment or two off of the market. And they also, a few other things that they brought into the fold was a watch list feature on Top Shot, which allows you to create your own watch list of moments that you might want to buy. We have something similar to that on FLOLiO called a flow list, which I personally think is going to be a better feature, but I may be a little bit biased there. And then
Maybe a little bit.
Also, just a little bit. And they also announced that they're going to be soon offering a marketplace bidding feature. So far with Top Shot, you can only put an ask out there. You cannot put a bid, which is different from sites like OpenSea. And we've seen that when you only have the lowest ask, it can lead to a lot of undercutting. And I think bringing in a bid feature will add a level of stability to the Top Shot marketplace that we desperately need. If someone wants to unload a moment quickly, they no longer have to undercut the floor. They can just look at what the highest bid is and decide if they want to accept that. So I think that is going to help stabilize the market in a way that is desperately needed, and I'm really excited to see the changes that creates.
And I believe you had some Top Shot packs you opened as well, right?
Yeah, I had a Top Shot Series 1 reserve pack. So that I got very lucky to get that, and then I got very unlucky that every moment in it was absolute garbage. So
Yeah.
I ended up giving that away as a gesture of goodwill to the community, for Team Hold, who is
Nice.
they're friends of ours. If you want to learn more about Top Shot, I'd recommend checking out the Team Hold YouTube channel and their Twitter account, because they're great guys, and they're very gracious to have me come on their show. So moving on from Top Shot, Daniel, let's jump into Apes Flipping Punks. That was a big storyline that happened this week. I want to hear what you have to say about it first. As someone who is a big ape holder, I have my own thoughts on it, but I want you to lead off this discussion.
Yeah, so naturally, like, I'm impartial, right? I don't have any punks and I have any apes. I'm not cool enough,
All right, let's not go that far.
I'm not cool, I'm poor. No, like I've been watching the Twitter, and everyone's going crazy, and people are mad at each other, just because it's like this battle between the original, like the most like cool to have, and then like the supported, like the large rival, right? So essentially, by design, you can almost say they're basically being pit up against each other. And it finally happened. I believe punks are worth more now again, but there was one That was for a slight moment. Apes were
Yeah,
more expensive than
there's
punks.
like a 10-minute window of where apes were a
Yeah,
little bit more expensive than punks, and then someone with an ape undercut the floor by like an ETH, and that ruined it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so as an ape owner, I don't think I could care less about this.
Hmm.
I you know, I think by the end of next year, there's a very good chance that punks are up to like 100, 150 ETH again. Like they're, what happened with a price flip today or yesterday doesn't really matter in the long run. So I think too much time has been spent discussing the flippening. I think in the long run, it doesn't matter. It really
Yeah,
doesn't. And I think that is really illustrated by the fact that the founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club, the dev team behind it, they don't care. They haven't discussed this at all. They've been
good.
head down working to move the project forward. And that's one thing I appreciate about
Yeah,
the Bored Ape Yacht Club team is they don't care what the floor price is right now because they're building a project that they want to see grow for
yeah.
decades to come. And I
Value is
think
more
that's a
important.
very, yeah, the value that they're bringing to the table is more important to them than the floor price on December 23rd,
Yeah,
2021.
exactly.
So, I think that we should follow the lead of the team who is, captaining this ship that we're on, this yacht, if you will, and just put our heads down and keep working to grow the NFT space because that's what really matters. If people took the time and energy they had to debating whether punk should be higher, ape should be higher, we could be doing some much cooler stuff. So that's my perspective. I'm very over hearing about it. I would like everyone
Yeah,
to just move on with their lives and let's talk about something else for the love of God.
definitely. I think
Yep.
if there's one thing that annoys me in a project is when the project lead is like too focused on the value or keeps talking about the floor or like
Yep.
mentions, oh wow, this thing sold for this value. Like it shouldn't really matter, right? Like it's very
Yeah,
short
and
sighted.
that's
And
a red flag that we see in a lot of projects
yeah,
is in the Discord. Some of these projects will have like an agreement of you can't list for
yeah,
under
it's
2 ETH, or we're
crazy.
kicking you out of the Discord.
It's so
Get me
crazy.
the hell out of that project
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
away. I want to have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
It's
So moving
crazy.
on from that, we've seen a lot of art blocks projects come out recently. Uh, Daniel, do you own any art blocks?
No, I
Okay.
wish.
Me too. There are a few that I wish I owned as well, but they have been seeing a big decrease in price lately because of what I believe is oversupply. I mean, there are so many art blocks curated and art
Yeah,
blocks playground projects that it's just dragging the value of everything down, in my opinion. A few months back, we saw the Fidenzas going
yeah.
for hundreds of Ethereum, and those have really started to decrease. We've seen Chromie Squiggles, which is a project that I would like to own. I'm just going to keep watching it go down, and if it drops down, further and further, I might just go ahead and grab one because I think they're fun. I think there is something to be said for art blocks being a very old project, and the Squiggles
Hmm.
being their first one makes it valuable in the long run. But art blocks is one of those higher profile products or projects that has seen a sharp drop off over the last month or so.
Yeah, so I can definitely attest to that. I'll go ahead and screen share uh, just to show something. So this is their last curated drop, I believe. Geometry no compute. So it's very like I love how it looks. Like that first of all, like ignoring the price that's on it right now, and ignoring that they sold out at like 1 ETH. Just like you can, there's like a bunch of different symmetry types.
Hmm.
So, but you can also move it yourself and like kind of zoom in and zoom out with it and make it like look different,
That's really
which is really
cool.
cool. But like you said, definitely the price of art blocks in general has been going quite down. I was like following the Dutch auction, and when it arrived at 1, I was like, wow, I might just buy this, but I was short by a little bit. So it's kind of sad to see that the price got sliced in half like twice.
Yeah, yeah. I think that it does present a buying opportunity, though. We've
That's
seen
true.
this, we've seen this trend over and over again in NFTs, where when market sentiment starts to change, if it's a well-established project that has long-term value, this is a great time to buy and just hold. Especially if
Yeah.
one thing that's cool about art blocks is they bring in different artists, a lot of generative artists. And I think that's a really awesome way to do it. And if
Yeah.
there's one out there who you can't afford maybe some of their one of ones, buying one of their art blocks curated pieces gives you access to them long term. And right now, with it being at a lower price point, I think that presents a really good opportunity.
I definitely agree.
So let's move into our main segment for today, and that is our Christmas NFT wish list. So, Daniel, I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to
Yeah.
begin with my first piece on the wish list, which is a Gutter Cat Gang. Now, for those who don't know, the Gutter Cat Gang is a profile picture NFT project. They came out just a few weeks or so after Bored Apes did back in May. And initially, they had a little bit of an issue with their drop where some things went wrong with the early minting process. But they fixed it. They got everything better. And they have developed a rabid community of people who absolutely love the Gutter Cat Gang. They've done a really cool job of blending the metaverse and the in real life aspects of NFTs, which I think is a huge positive for a project. And they also just recently released their roadmap for the year 2022. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen right now, show everyone the Gutter Cat Gang roadmap because it's pretty cool. So this is the Gutter
Wow.
Cat roadmap. They took a page from Bored Ape Yacht Club, who
Yeah.
released their roadmap visually, but theirs is really cool. Like that is not me and like saying like
Yeah.
flooding it or hating on it or anyway. Like Gutter Cat Gang, what they've done with this roadmap is super cool. You can see that they're going to have the G Kicks down here. They're going to have their own, sneaker collaborations. They have the merch shop. They're part of the sandbox game. They have a whole charitable part with Gutter Gives. They're creating a DAO. They're going to have their own token that's going to be $gang. For those who don't know, if you say gang on Twitter, you're going to have a bunch of pictures of cats, rats, dogs, and pigeons hopping into your comments right there. They are building a blockchain gang. So it is a very ambitious project, which could be good, could be bad, but I think in this case it's good. And I think that investing in the Gutter Cat Gang now in some way is going to be very beneficial. So if you don't know, they have 4 different parts to it. They have the original, obviously, which is the cat. Then next came the Gutter Rats. And then a few months ago, if you held a cat or a rat, you got a mint pass for either a Gutter Pigeon or a Gutter Dog. So right now, I believe the pigeons are selling for around 0.75 Ethereum. The rats for around 0.8. The dogs are around 1 because everyone loves dogs more than rats and pigeons. And then the cats, which is the top tier membership, I believe is around 4 Ethereum at the moment. So there are some higher price point ones at 4. I would say moderate because 0.75 Ethereum is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So more moderate price ones around 0.75. And I think there's also going to be ways in the coming months and in the next year to have exposure to the project through their blockchain game and through their gang token. So I think that 2022 could be a good year to be a part of the Gutter Cat Gang. So, Daniel, what is your first project that you want to talk about?
So the first project that I would like to talk about is Bored Ape, because
Okay.
like the way I consider this wish list is not like something that I can definitely achieve, more like what would be really cool for me to have, and ignoring like setting the price aside, right? Because of course I would like to have a 50 ETH project, you know, but like you said with the upcoming play to earn game. I love how it looks, and it looks like a game I would actually play. I've been playing those like type of like flash games for so long, and just like the bullet hell type games, and it looks great. Like I would really like to be part of the Bored Ape ecosystem, and that's basically all I have to say about the reasons why I would want it. But yeah, looking
Okay.
forward to all that.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll go into my next one, which is where my vans go. So once again, going to share the
Yeah.
screen because I think this is a really, really awesome project. So it is the child of Isaac Wright. Isaac has a really cool story. So he served in the military for 6 years. And after leaving the military, he was dealing with PTSD, depression, and he found that photography, and more specifically, this type of daredevil photography, if you
So
will,
so crazy.
which is so insane,
Yeah.
really helped his mental health. Now, a year ago, on December 17th, he was arrested in Arizona for trespassing charges due to his climbing that he had to do to take
Yeah.
photographs. He had a warrant out for in Cincinnati. They got him in Arizona. He was in jail for a few months. He finally got out, and ever since then, he's still been wearing his Vans and doing these daredevil climbs. And one thing that I think is really cool is that me personally, I'm terrified of heights.
Me
I
too,
would
actually.
I would literally be shitting my pants if I
Yeah.
ever were to do a climb with that guy. So the courage it takes to climb up, and this shot right here of Central Park, I think is so cool.
It's
I
really cool.
I would love to have it. It's a nice 24 Ethereum right there, so I don't think that's going to be happening for me anytime soon. But I think this in his whole collection, this is one of my favorites, hands down. So he goes by the name Drift. You can check him out on Twitter, Drifter Shoots, and he has a collection of, I believe, 119 pieces for Where My Vans Go. So that is number 2 on my wish list for this year.
That's a lot. There's a lot of climbing to do. What was it, 100 and something you said?
119, yeah.
That's a lot of climbing. That is a lot of climbing.
On Twitter, pretty much every day, he posts a video, and it's his vibe check of the day. And it's him climbing these outrageous structures. And I'm just sitting there like, this guy is insane, and I love it.
I get instantly clammy hands watching all that stuff. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Like Kevin said, insane just looking at them. I cannot imagine being there. Definitely, me neither.
Also, with Patty's comment right there, Merry Christmas, buddy. Happy that you're watching the show. And, definitely bring up the FLOLiO show on Christmas. If you want to share this with your family, we'd love to help educate them on NFTs. Definitely. So, Daniel, what is your next Christmas wish list project?
So, second on my list is Cool Cats. And primarily for the reasons being that the community is so strong, so supportive, so helpful. Like I said last week, I got my... Oh, sorry, hello?
You went robot for a second there.
Beep boop. Okay, are we good now?
You went robot for a second there.
That's okay. It happens. So what I said was, number 2 on my list is Cool Cats, and primarily for the reasons being that the community is like extremely good. Last week I highlighted that my girlfriend got into NFTs, and she's been drawing art a lot. And she drew art for this project called My Little Lemon Friend, or Little Lemon Friends, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they have like this collaboration with Cool Cats, or not official, but I think that the team is somehow involved, or they have like connections. So a lot of they had a whitelist for him. They had a whitelist for, I think, both yours, what are they called, Booger something?
Oh, the Toy Boogers?
Toy Boogers, yeah. So they had a whitelist for Toy Boogers and Cool Cat holders. So I guess maybe that's why they have like this connection. But so she drew art, and she got so much support from that team, and we've been interacting with their Christmas giveaway stuff. And yeah, the team behind it is super supportive, super active on social media, and that's why I would really like to be part of the ecosystem. And I had a whitelist for their Cool Pets launch in Q1 2022.
That's
so I'm
awesome.
very excited for that as well. Yeah, very cool.
That's really cool. Excellent. So I'll go into my next one, which is a generative art piece by Caleb Johnson called Wavelength. So if you don't know, there's a project called Fidenza. I think it looks kind of similar to Fidenza, but I think these are actually cooler. So this is one of the pieces from Wavelength. It's also a more moderately priced one. So it's when I checked earlier, it was 0.75 ETH to get the cheapest one. And I think this one was around 0.9. And I think that visually it looks really cool. There aren't a ton of pieces, I believe 1,100. And with that, you also own the IP rights to it. So say you have a really cool Wavelength, you can print it out, hang it, like frame it, hang it in your house, and you can even sell prints of it too if you have people who are interested in it. He is a up-and-coming generative artist. He's been around NFTs for a while doing some photography. I believe he's 20 years old. He's out of New Zealand or Australia. And that's, I think stuff like this is really neat. Like I could see this hanging in my house. I know I was showing my wife these ones and she was like, okay, that's really cool. So I may try to add one of these to the collection sometime soon and put it up around our house. So that is my number. What are you going to say?
I was gonna say there's definitely something really interesting about the NFT like ecosystem where a 20-year-old can easily be found out by like just creating art like that, you know, and just become, well, like money isn't the primary like objective, but you know, become a millionaire overnight basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is number 3 on your list, Daniel?
So number 3 on my list is an Oniforce type Oni. So for the people that don't know, Oni launched, I believe, maybe 5 months ago. Haven't done much since, I'm gonna be honest. But they've been actively building on their IP behind the scenes, and you know they've had a partnership with Coinbase, and they'll launch on their I believe it's rumored to be Q1 NFT
Okay.
marketplace, but we have to see about that. Like we're gonna have to see if that actually launches in Q1, you know, because you know big operation. Like I doubt that it'll be done that fast, but if it does, you know, I'm happy.
Yeah, they've already delayed it because they said back in, I believe, October when they announced it that it'd be ready by the end of the year, and that's not looking likely. So, hopefully quarter 1 of next year, give
Yeah.
OpenSea some competition so that they can step their game up, which they desperately need to do.
Yeah, like I think, like I've always been saying about Oni that they had an incredible pump on day two went up to 7.7 ETH floor on like the lowest rarity ones, but they've never really been about short term like rewards. They've
Mhm.
always been building on this like long term vision they have, and like it doesn't really like really fit well with what the market wanted at that point. So now they went down to like zero point 0.6, which is like, you know, like a 1,000% down, which is rough, you know, which is rough. But sold one of mine at 4 point something. Other one I'm happy to just to hold until the future, and they got a really cool nano suit drop coming Q1. So you know, I'm banking on Coinbase plus the nano suit drop, and hopefully it'll do something good with the price. But what I'm looking for is one of the rarest types of Oni, and this is something that I'm actually like actively pursuing. I'm basically in the Discord all day asking, "Hey, anyone want to sell an Oni like type Oni for 2 ETH?" Which is like almost offensive, right? Because the cheapest is like 3 ETH something. But like
I
you see
mean,
him being sold sometimes.
you could always get, your cool pet whenever that drops, and if those rocket, you could try to, trade one of those for a type Oni.
Yeah, but yeah. Like I'm afraid though. Like I really want it basically right now because I'm very afraid that more information is released about Coinbase, more information being released about like Oni, and then it goes back up again, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I would like to have it right now. Thank you.
Yeah. No,
But
I hear
yeah,
you.
you know, they look so cool. But I hope the team makes it better and like shows the community that they're actively building on something. Because right now it's mainly the nano suits, and from my experience with these types of companion drops, generally they devalue the project. Like in some cases, like I believe like Gutter Cats, right?
Hmm.
And Bored Ape, at least long term, it didn't really affect the price. I think short term it affected Bored Ape price, didn't it? Do you know?
With
With the mutants and the
Coinbase.
dogs.
Yeah. So I remember this vividly. Back when the mutant weekend was kind of this perfect storm where the mutants were coming. That was the same weekend Steph Curry bought his ape,
Wow.
and so the day of the mutant drop, the price got up all the way to like 65 ETH, which was way overvalued, and
Yeah,
then at
yeah.
the time, and then it came, crashing back down to earth. It got back under 30 for a little bit, and now
Wow.
we've been hanging out in the low 50s. So there's definitely these hype cycles that you can sell into and then buy back. That's one of the interesting things though with NFTs compared to like the stock market or cryptocurrency, is that if you really like the way that your Oni or your Bored Ape looks, my profile picture ape on Twitter, he's got like a Bored Ape Yacht Club flip brim hat and holographic glasses and a lumberjack shirt. I love him. I think he's awesome.
It's really cool.
Um, but like selling that ape on, at the top of a hype cycle, I don't know if I'm ever going to get him back, right? And so if you are in the community long term, and that could be as absolutely a weakness as an investor for sure. If you're looking at this mainly from an investor and you don't really care about the community or the long term utility, that's probably not an issue for you. But if you like being in the community and you like the way that your NFT looks, that definitely plays a part in those decisions as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
my next piece that I'm going to talk about today is a piece by Xcopy. So we discussed Xcopy on the last show, I believe, with the large sale to Cosimo de Medici, and that is something that I would like. So this is a piece of Xcopy's art. He has been around since 2017, so the very early, like the very, very beginning of NFTs. He's basically like the caveman who was drawing stick figures on the wall, but for NFTs. And he's done some really cool stuff. I've heard him compared, as like the Banksy of the digital art world. And he has some one-of-one pieces on websites like Super Rare, and he also has some other projects that have 50 to 200 pieces that are available on OpenSea. I think his cheapest one on OpenSea is 5 Ethereum, so still a nice little chunk of change right there. But I would love someday to add an Xcopy to my collection.
Do we know if he's like doxxed? Do we know if he's anonymous?
I'm not. I don't think he is doxxed. I think he is still very much anonymous.
Yeah, it's very cool.
As far as I know, I've never heard him do like any interviews or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's plenty of shows out there I haven't seen. Maybe he has, but he's a really very kind of trippy, cool artist, and I like the way that he does things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with Cosimo de Medici, I think like his purchase of, was it right click save?
Right click
Guy?
save as guy, yeah.
There you go. Close.
Yeah.
I think that definitely boosted his reputation a bit more of Xcopy, and he had his Grifters drop, I believe, recently as well.
Yeah, Grifters just came out, and they just so happen to look like a former president of the United States of America.
I see.
So
That's-
we won't make this one political, but I thought that was pretty funny. So
yeah, definitely.
moving on, what is your next item on your wish list, Daniel?
Yeah. So the next item on my wish list is a cool looking
there it
art
is.
blocks. Oh, hello. Yeah, I think we're having a little bit of connection
Okay.
issues, but I think we're good. We're
It's
hanging
okay.
in
We're
there.
getting through it.
Definitely.
Yep.
So the last, not the last, but basically the last like collection of my wish list is art blocks, and that primarily being like I want like a cool like generative art blocks like the ones I showed earlier. I just think they look cool. Like mainly that. Like I just think they look really neat, and like you can play around
Yeah.
with them. Like they're pretty interactive, and I just want to have them. Like
Any certain one?
yeah, the one I showed earlier.
Okay.
With a really long Japanese, really long Japanese name.
The geometry.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
There's
I think it
also
looks
another
really
one
neat.
that I think that's cool called geometry. So it's spelled differently. Geometry Runners. Have you seen that one?
No, I don't think I have.
Geometry Runners is really cool as well. Yeah, Art Blocks is, as we discussed, I think that's a really good buying opportunity right now for anyone who doesn't really vibe with the profile picture projects. The generative art stuff from Art Blocks is really cool.
Definitely.
So my next one is going to be it's part profile picture, part utility, and that is VFriends by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who Gary V is, I think everyone probably watching this show knows who Gary V is at this point. So Gary V put out VFriends. Current floor is 9.6 Ethereum, and they're all hand drawn. So months before Gary put out this project, he started kind of hinting at it by posting these hand-drawn pictures on Twitter. So we got the willful wizard, we have the insightful Irish terrier, we have the gracious grasshopper and positive porcupine. So they're pretty cute. They got fun alliterative names. I'm a big alliteration guy, so that I vibe with that. And they also have different rarities, and they have different attributes that come with them as far as what you can get out of it. So if you look over on the side here, when we see redemptions, not redemptions, the benefits of group access. Some of them offer one-on-one interactions with Gary, so you can talk to him about the project, about business, about whatever the heck you want. Also, having a VFriend allows you access to VCon, which is Gary's conference. He'll be putting it on in May of this next year up in Minneapolis. It's actually going to be at US Bank Stadium where the Vikings play, which is a pretty huge and awesome place. I'm hoping to get up there for that next year. I think that'd be really cool. But I think VFriends is a really cool project that is expensive, but I also believe that Gary is going to deliver on this. He has said over and over again that he will let VaynerMedia fail before he lets VFriends fail. He is all in on VFriends, and you don't truly know someone who you've only ever seen on the internet, but he is someone that I would be willing to bet on and who I think is going to live up to his word. So if you have about 40 grand laying around that you want to put into a project, I think VFriends is a good one.
I mean, like Gary V is basically like the golden boy of NFTs, right? Like,
Yeah, he is.
Is that safe to say?
Yeah, he has done a lot to bring NFTs mainstream.
They even teamed up with Mattel, and they came out with a VFriends Uno deck. They did. I saw some tweet about that. I think it sold for cheap, I think, and then Gary V posted that people were like scalping like crazy on like eBay and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was like 10xing on eBay, which is really that's pretty cool. Shout out to Amanda. That's actually my sister. So appreciate her dropping in and supporting the show. So what is next on your list, Daniel? We got a few more. I think you have two more. I got one more.
Let's see. Yeah, I got two more, but just touching really quick on VFriends and Gary V real quick. It's pretty cool. I'm in this Dutch community with friends, and they're pretty like deep on VFriends, and it's really cool to see because they have like there's all this bunch of like very rares or something. I'm not sure what like how that differentiates, but I assume it's like more valuable than the regular ones. And they bought like 2,000 books or something, so it's crazy. Like they have like this pile of books and like they're giving it away, and I'm like, well, that's a lot of books.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the second to last project on my list is Neo Tokyo Citizen, which is like this very cool project by Becker, I believe, or I'm not sure if he made it, but he's definitely part of the team, or Elio. I might be mistaking some names or like mixing them up, but I know some people that are into the project as well, and they have this really cool like cyber identity type stuff, and they have a really really sick upcoming tournament in Q1 2022 with like $1 million prize pool with G Fuel as a sponsor and like very famous Twitch streamers included. So it's very very grand. But yeah, the one thing is that from an outside perspective they might seem a bit cliquey, so that's one thing I would have to say about their community. But that is one thing I would also like to be included in.
All right. So my last thing on the wish list is not actually an NFT that is available right now, but is sort of like a hope and a dream that I have for maybe Christmas, 2023 and beyond. So I was, earlier thinking about NFTs because that's on my mind like all the time. And I'm a big video game fan. We talked about video games on our second episode, so go check that out. But I would love to see a Legend of Zelda game that incorporates NFTs. Yeah. Legend of Zelda is my favorite video game franchise of all time. I've been playing it since I was a kid. And I think it would be super cool if there was an open world Zelda game, one that even allowed you to team up with friends, and all of your weapons and shields and clothing were NFTs, and you could, forge different NFTs from that. And if there was like a one-of-one edition of the Master Sword, like that would be crazy.
Oh, wow, imagine that.
Imagine how much that would go for. But Nintendo, if you're watching this, which I know you are, reach out and I would be happy to help you develop a Zelda NFT game. So that is my very, very long-term NFT Christmas list, and that caps off my list for today.
Yeah. I believe there's a project called bigtime.gg that are actively developing, I believe, a similar style action RPG like you mentioned. So that's something to look out for as well. Should be coming next year as well. So that's very exciting. So the very, very, very last thing on my list, I need an ENS name. I need it. It's cheap, and I need it. I don't want to be defined by my 0x wallet address. Like I need.
Yeah,
this.
Why haven't you bought at danlock.eth yet?
I need it to be clean. It needs to be 3 letters long. It needs to be 4 letters long. I don't want numbers. I don't want to know like 8-letter names. It needs to be needs to be something cool, you know.
Is vandalock.eth available?
It probably is, but it's not clean
Get that.
enough. And
So what?
it needs to be like, ooh,
Hey, I
there's
mean, I was able to grab JWeb.eth, so
yeah,
I'm really hoping, like I've said, that like a big time like rapper athlete,
whose
you know,
name is JWeb.
who goes by
Oh,
JWeb wants to buy that from me for like $250,000. I would sell that to them immediately.
yeah, there's something really funny I wanted to mention, and it's good that you bring it up. So Shaq, like Shaquille O'Neal, his Twitter is Shaq.eth. He doesn't even own the ENS address.
Oh, that's messed up.
It's so
Um,
funny.
I also think something that we didn't touch on this in the recap, but the person on Twitter, the person who owned NBA.eth
Yeah. Oh.
allegedly gave it to the NBA for
Yeah, he
free,
did. He
which
did.
is why are you squatting on that ENS domain just to give it away? Like, what is that? I think that is beyond stupid. That is a multi billion dollar company, and you're just going to give them their ENS name? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
come
absolutely
on.
crazy. And
That's
Kevin
just
with the smart comment to scalp to scrap up some ENS names and send them to me for a premium. Well, I don't have money, so that's gonna be tough.
so. Let's move on. First, let's touch on Patty's question right there, Dan. If you want to pull that
Yeah,
up.
I can highlight it. It's there.
So, how do you decide if gas fees are too high when wrapping, minting, buying? Is there a certain percentage of the total cost? So, for me, I don't sit there and calculate, an
Yeah,
actual percentage of the total cost. I mean, if it's more than if I'm minting a project, I expect the gas to be high, which is why whitelists are valuable because it brings the gas fees down. But if I'm minting a highly sought after project, I just go into it expecting the gas fees to be high, and I only take what I'm willing to spend. So I talked about it last week with the Adidas drop. It was going to be zero point 0.2 ETH a piece, and I was hoping to get two of them, and I had 1.4 ETH loaded in my MetaMask because if it was going to be, I didn't expect it to be a full Ethereum to do it, but I was prepared for that to be the case. So if you're wrapping something or you're buying something on OpenSea, I would just wait until gas fees go down if they're
yeah,
pretty high. Unless it's like an NFT that you really, really want that you're afraid is going to sell soon, then I'd be willing to pay a little bit more. But if you're just wrapping Ethereum, I would just wait until, later on in the night when gas
yeah,
fees tend to go down.
yeah. I mean, basically same answer for me. Right now, I'm happy if it's under 50, 60. Like if you asked me the same question 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I'd be like,
To
wow, if it's
clarify, 50, 60 what?
like guai, like
Okay.
like units of gas. I assume. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
For those who
thanks
don't know,
for reminding me.
yeah, gas fees are viewed in Guai. So when he says 50 to 60, that's what we're talking about there.
Yeah, thank you for pointing it out.
Yeah, totally.
It's good to be reminded sometimes. But yeah, so if it's under 50 or 60, I'm happy. 2 weeks ago, if it was under 100, I would even be happy. Like it differs a lot. So thankfully, these days, last couple of weeks, we've been under 40 in the early hours. So which that's very cheap, and
Yeah.
same answer as JWeb. If I'm wrapping, I'd like to do it when it's early, when gas is low. Minting, I will also I pay a premium if I want like early ID or if it's like heavily contested. And other than that, like buying, yeah, doesn't change too much if the gas is like 50 or the gas is like 100. If I want something like desperately, like yeah, I'll pay. I'll pay.
And to that end, I think if you're buying a project when gas is super high on secondary, it's probably a good sign that you're buying right into a hype cycle, and you should maybe reconsider that and wait till the hype dies down a bit and the prices inevitably dip again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So moving on, a few more things we want to talk about today. One of them is what to avoid when buying an NFT. So in our first show, we discussed what we look for. What are our go-aheads that it's a good project, and I'm going to talk about the counter of that today as far as like some red flags, because there are a few projects that have been announced lately that I believe have a lot of red flags that are gaining steam, and I think it's going to be people who get into them in the secondary are going to get wrecked early on. I don't want to see that happen to anyone. So one thing is a very fast come up that, a project that blows up on Twitter, blows up on Discord, but doesn't have a proven track record. So there's this one project coming out called, I think, We're More Than Just Gamers or something.
Yeah.
And it's being put out by, I think, like some Twitch streamers who, they're not anonymous by any means, but they're also not experienced in NFTs. And they put out, like, admittedly, a really cool, like, hype video for the project, but the mint cost is 0.2 ETH, which is a lot, in my opinion, for a first-time project. We saw it with Mechaverse. They did their raffle at for people at 0.2 ETH. The price on the secondary market before the reveal shot up to almost 8, and then it just crashed hard. And a lot of people had their first experience in NFTs buying a Mechaverse for 5+ Ethereum, and then they just got absolutely destroyed. And that is a big red flag, in my opinion, is some of these projects that build up a ton of hype without delivering on anything, because people who, it's called, the term in the NFT world is called second manning a project. So if you miss on the mint, but you buy it on OpenSea pre-reveal, you're the second man. And second manning a project can get people wrecked in a big way. And I say that because I have definitely been there more than once. I'm trying to learn from those previous mistakes. So just keep that in mind when you see some of these new projects popping out. Anything, to add to that, Daniel, that you avoid when looking at projects?
Well, it's mostly that, like, when you approach a project, like, usually a project has like this one front man, and then like the rest, like, you usually maybe like team behind the scenes, right? So when you look at a project, don't measure it by who you see, like who the front person is. Look at the team that's behind it. Look at what they've done. Look at like who they are. If they're all anonymous, you know nothing about them, odds are they got boosted numbers and they're not gonna deliver because, like, you don't know what to expect, at least.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we also want to discuss NFT safety. We've seen a lot of issues in the last few weeks of people getting hacked. Like to touch on that a bit too. So first and foremost, never, ever, ever enter your seed phrase in anything but MetaMask. Okay? Like, I cannot be any more clear about this. You are asking to get everything you have stolen if you put your MetaMask seed phrase into any other, like, if someone sends you a message on Twitter, on Discord, if they claim their MetaMask support, OpenSea support, and they want your seed phrase, tell them to kiss your ass, because that is a scammer right there who is trying to unload your account and move it over to theirs. So whatever you do not click on links that come to you from random accounts in Discord or Twitter. Do not share your screen with anyone who claims to be support, because they want to try to get the QR code in your MetaMask and they want to try to hack you that way. And it's always, in the world of NFTs, if you're a little paranoid when it comes to security, that's a good thing, because it means you have a much less likely chance of getting absolutely destroyed. Daniel, do you want to touch on hot and cold wallets as well to kind of add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when it comes to being paranoid about my safety, that's definitely me. I've lost so much sleep, like, thinking about, like, oh no, like, I have these dreams sometimes where I, like, wake up and I'm like, did I get hacked? Like, I wake up and, like, I dream about getting hacked. Right? So I'm like, oh no, my wallet. Yeah, definitely. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, just to touch on hacking and being hacked, what they do a lot now is that you get sent a link or something, and someone says, "Hey, like, I've made this derivative for you. Can you, like, mint it through this link or whatever?" It's usually links, right? So when you press it and then you sign the transaction, it's actually like a fraudulent contract where you basically allow them to, like, take everything you have. So, be careful with that.
100%.
Yeah, but to touch on hot and cold wallets. Basically, the idea is that you have this one designated wallet where you temporarily send funds to that you use to mint projects for. And then once you have minted the project, you send that minted NFT back to your cold wallet, where you don't interact with anything. You just keep it there, keep it for safekeeping. Don't sign it for, what is it called? Roll.collab, like a Discord bot. Don't mint anything, basically. So this helps you because, say you get hacked, right? and your hot wallet gets hacked, nothing really gets stolen. Maybe the 0.02 ETH you have left on it, worst case scenario. So that's definitely something I can recommend. Get a hot and cold wallet, buy a ledger from the official website. Don't buy it through like a third party reseller,
Yep.
and you're good to go.
Yeah, Ledger and Trezor are the two most
Yeah,
trusted hardware wallets, and buy those directly from the website. Do not get one on Amazon because once again, you're asking to get absolutely destroyed there.
yeah.
So, a few programming notes. Next year or next week, we're going to have our year in review show. It is going to be pre-recorded because next week I am going to become a dad. So, my wife and I are expecting our
Woo.
first kiddo, and I don't expect that within the first few days, my wife is going to be okay, and I'm not going to be okay with recording a live show. So, very excited to end the year on that note. So, thank everybody. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. This is our fourth episode. Really having a lot of fun doing this. I'm
Definitely.
very grateful for everyone who comes and hangs out during these shows with us. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Follow us on all those sites. We are just trying to do everything we can to help bring more and more people into the world of NFTs and Web3. And we couldn't do it without your support. So for Daniel, for the rest of the team at FLOLiO, I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas if they're celebrating it, and we will see you all in the new year. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.